and then maybe on the 4th or 5th, you decide maybe to do a move with the backs, okay? And to all 3 forwards take it in. The 4th one, I move with the backs, that's the 4th tackle. Then on the 5th one, you kick either for touch or behind them, because if you kick, the ball is still in play, although you have the risk of losing possession, because you can either kick a grab and chase or up and under, but then again, you don't lose the possession automatically on the 5th because you have given away that opportunity.
So, because that is one of the things that
confusing.
Confusing because in rugby union I would have to turn over the ball or steal it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean when the pass is being made,
intercept the pass. To intercept the pass and stuff like that. Yeah.
So this transition where you've got to make 5 moves, and that is the key thing at the moment, advancing.
Yes.
How then do you prepare players to play, number 1, get defensive, and 2, get offensive?
I mean, it's a challenge for any federation or any club to adapt to that. I remember in 2014 we organized the first ever international rugby league match in Kenya.
Against Italy.
Against Italy.
34-24.
Yes, at Watamu, and thanks to the hotel community in Watamu who came together. It was a benefit match for Gede Primary School, which they support. And the match was at the primary school. And
I think I've seen the pictures.
You've seen the clips, yes, exactly.
The sand, the dust.
Exactly. It was
excited children.
It was a fantastic stuff. And I remember just to answer the question, in that game, because we just put together a group of players from different clubs. They went through, I think, not even 1 week, less than a week sessions to get the rules and stuff like that. In that match against Italy, we really struggled with the penalties. We considered level of the penalties, which we considered way more than Italy, because they just didn't understand the rules. But we won anyway. And then also, we really took the ball in 5 times. By the 3rd or 4th, we were always losing it to something. Yeah, so that is a challenge. And again, the exciting thing with the challenge is that now the players just have to work extra hard to have it sorted out.
Right, Richard Nyakwaka, he's the chair of the Kenya Rugby League Federation, speaking to us about this sport. It's a different code of rugby. And Richard, when it comes to penalties in rugby, they come against, and the conversation in any rugby place will be always about discipline.
Right.
The penalties that come. For example, we know how penalties would come. We know how penalties would come.
I know, but also I get when you call me Richard, I'm unable to respond. Nobody calls me that. Thank you.
You want me to? Okay, trying to be formal. His nickname is Quicks. Everyone calls him Quicks Nyakwaka.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. So here it is: the discipline in rugby league. You've mentioned that you kept conceding penalties.
Yes.
Mention things the don'ts.
Yeah.
In rugby league that will see you concede penalties.
Basically, almost the same.
Start with what?
High tackles, yeah. Because it's mostly high tackles, offside. Basically, those are the areas because in union you tend to have other penalties for other infringements like holding ball in rack and stuff like that, and in this instance it's not there. And then also in league, in the tackle area, there's a way that position that you're supposed to stand to restart the ball, and the position is supposed to give you some space. If they don't, that's again another penalty.
I mean, like you'd say,
exactly.
How many yards is it? Or meters in this case?
5. Yeah, and so now puts assignment on you. Look for Rombo, bring him here. He's the national team coach, or Benjamin Raimba, the technical director. They do that stuff for you. With the structures we've set up, it's all fantastic, and I thank them very much for agreeing to take up the responsibilities. They're setting up the system and the structures. So what remains for me is to play the roles of looking for resources and getting sponsorship in, setting up the secretariat, publicizing the game, negotiating with the other federations, because we already are in plans for some international test matches soon.
We'll be getting to that.
Okay.
Yeah, first, you mentioned about 8 clubs in Kenya.
Yes.
You had the rugby. It was played over 2 weekends.
Yes.
For the 8 clubs. Tell us about the 8 clubs and how you were able to get... You know, the players who can't break into 15s. Some may be playing for the second string sides in the Kenya Cup.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like my default... My blood is black. My default is Mwamba, which is my kulabu. Yeah, I mean, in training there, because of the growth of the game, they have almost over 100 players in training. But then during the season, they can only use per weekend. They can only use two teams only, the Kenya Cup team and the ESS team. So
that's maximum 46 players.
Exactly, and the trend has been, and I've seen lots of talent getting wasted at Mwamba. And so if you talk to KCB, the same thing. If you talk to Harlequins, the same thing. There's many very good players coming up to school every year, but there's not enough space for them to express themselves. So when we started last year asking guys to form clubs, of course it was very difficult at the beginning. People didn't understand what is this new rugby is all about and stuff like that. But then we put together a good team that helped us to roll out. People like John Mbai, our incoming national development manager, has been very instrumental in that. So we then held a workshop in Nairobi in January, a technical workshop that was led by Aimba and Kadovilis Charles, where we took the club coaches and team managers on the route and stuff like that. And quite interesting, interesting is my hometown of Kisumu, where they decided that fine, they are forming a club. It's called Winam Rugby League Club, and the strategy that since they are not doing union, they're actually training out of mainstream Kisumu town. They're in a place called Nyamasaria.
Anyway, Nyamasaria.
Exactly. So that they said that they pride themselves to be a club just in Kisumu, but out of the CBD.
Yes.
So a bulk of their players come from around that area. They're getting a wider reach up to Ahero and Rabuor and all those kind of areas. Now, interesting again, this is not by design, but just by nature, but by fate. Again, if you go to Meru, we have a club that is in Meru, that came from Meru. They're not based in Meru town, yeah? They're in Kubu. If you know where Kubu is.
Yes, that's about 40 kilometers south of Meru.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So they also said that no, we want to pride ourselves to be in Kubu. In fact, it's called in Kubu Rugby League Club Meru. Yeah, they're in Kubu. That's where they're based. They're doing a fantastic job there. And now, then when you Nakuru, Rift Valley Ruffians, again, they're all at Nakuru Athletic Clubs. They're mostly trained at Kiti, which is
that's on the way to Nyahururu.
Exactly, yes. Exactly. Then you come to Nairobi. There's Kichoi is leading Kitengela and Namai. They're leading Kitengela Sharks. Yeah, who we went there for the clinic. Fantastic place. They are training at the what is it called? At the prisons grounds. Okay. Yes.
All right. So
Kwajela. Yes.
Magereza. That's Magereza is a proper Swahili term.
But the Kitengela prisons has got a fantastic ground, large space, so that's happening there. And then you've got Wolves, which is basically an offshoot of Mwamba and KCB mixture. You've got Rhinos, which is basically an offshoot of Mean Machine. And then Homeboys are coming in and stuff like that. So
Homeboys are on both codes.
Yeah, Homeboys are coming in, yeah. They're very bold about it. They're coming down to be radical about it, which is fantastic. So these 8 clubs came, and we had to put together the referees. Everybody was struggling, but it was great fun for the 2 days. And that really inspired us. And ever since that time, and even with the recent appointment of our technical team, we're getting numerous requests. We've got a request from somebody in Embu who wants to develop a rugby club in Embu. Mombasa, we've got a request from Mombasa. Some are in Nairobi. There's a huge following coming up, and a huge push from Thika Road. They want the Thika Road Rugby League Club, which will basically be having players from, I think, Gara all the way to... Where does Thika Road end, by the way?
Thika Road ends past Thika.
You're them Sapere here.
No, I'm just another Kenyan. Thika Road ends about 12 kilometers past Thika.
So
you can imagine.
That's the idea. So they have to pride themselves at that.
That's a highway.
Exactly.
All the way. Just consider anything until Thika Town. Does Thika Town have a rugby league side? Because we know they had Thika RFC.
Yeah, Chege Gaido's exactly the rugby union club. But so we don't know what they're planning. But Thika Road Rugby League Club basically it targets supporters and players on Thika Road and off Thika Road, including because we've got a unit of players at Kariobangi South, who we want to link up with them so they can beef up the numbers on this side.
Now, getting all these clubs active now and ensuring that we know that sports and basically events have changed. How then do you get consistent so that the players are training and understand the sport better, so that by the time you think of calling up a national team, then you've got people with the right technical mindset for the league?
Okay, so we've just done the appointments, and we still have some more big staff appointments coming up in the next few days. Keep your ear to the ground. We are organizing our structures in terms of the technical structure and the secretariat in office and stuff like that. They are then already working on a draft plan of capacity building for the coaches, the referees. If I'm not wrong, I think the referees in the next few days are starting. John Mbai has organized for them. They're starting their training online with their trainer in New Zealand. They're starting their pathway for refereeing, and he's also setting up one for coaching. Him and Benja setting up one for coaching, which I think will start with the coach in South Africa online. Then once Corona is in the land, we will then have the capacity building workshops and start actually the education. And also we also want to train. We start with training of trainers. Then the trainers will start. We'll have the referee trainers, the coaches trainers. And then that's when now it gets then now to the players. Once you get the technical sorted out, the players will get the right kind of education from the coaches. Have the domestic league. As the domestic league rolls out, again, that's what you'll ask. Those are Rombo's plans. You'll ask him. We'll have a team.
You're the chairman.
So I'm just giving you
the hints.
The hints up on a palette, and then you follow up. So then, as the league progresses, I believe we will have our select committee to start the national team selection as the competition progresses. Because what you do normally is that you always have a provisional rugby team, your national team. Even now, if you call Rombo and ask him who the Kenya Rugby League provisional squad is, he should be able to give you one. That is standard.
Okay. Then the other thing is, because the way you've mentioned this about a rugby league in Kenya is like, I'm looking at a tree, you're starting with the leaves, going to the roots. So how do you get to the grassroots? Because rugby is, for all means and purposes, it's a technical sport.
It is.
It's a very technical sport.
It is.
Getting to schools now so that there can be competitions outside of the normal 15s and 7s, then we can also have league.
Yeah, so this one we have to do both ways. We have to start with the leaves first.
And the roots.
Than the roots. So we needed this to do what we are doing now, to help publicize the game, to help attract partners, get the resources in, because that resources is what you need to go sort of the grassroots. Because if you don't have resources, your grassroots can never grow. And it's a hybrid program that we're coming up with. We're soon appointing our heads of schools program and regional development officers and academies and stuff like that. And we want to start working with the secondary schools, primary schools, ladies rugby league also, set up the academies, and already in our recent discussions, we already are planning to have an annual high performance training camp for about like 10 days with about 100 to 150 under 18 players from all over the country, and that will be every year. And that is basically the cream of the players you'll be developing to be your national team in future. And it will be a mixture of under 14, under 16, and under 18. Because remember, like Rombo said in his vision, we want to go to the World Cup in 2025. Now, if you want to go to the World Cup in 2025, it means the majority of the players that you'll use in 2025 are maybe 13, 14 years of age now.
Or even call them 18 at the moment. 2025 is 5 years from now.
Exactly.
So you'd probably be looking at what, 20-year-olds?
No.
18-year-olds.
Majority of the players that will play in 2025 in the World Cup that Rombo is taking us to are mostly 14, 15 right now.
So you'll be looking...
Because what happens at that moment when you go to the World Cup year is, majority of your players will be 20,
yes.
21. There'll be very few 25, 27-year-olds. The Oteros, you have a few there just to shikilia stuff, so that the tourists don't get carried away. But the bulk of your workload of the players will be with these ones. And these ones, they're currently 14-year-olds. In fact, we want to be bold so that we start the program this year and start getting 13, 14-year-olds that we can put in a program and start tracking them, because then we want to build them for the future. So by the time, because if the World Cup is 2025, remember also it means the qualifiers will start in 2023. Yeah, so we want to be game ready by then. And yeah.
Yes. So mentioning about the national team, if you've got to play the qualifiers, what's the state of the game in Africa? Because I think South Africa were last at the Rugby League World Cup 20 years ago, in 2000. So what's the state of the game in Africa? We know about Union.
Oh yeah, it's grown. Nigeria, there's Nigeria, there's Rugby League in Nigeria. There's Morocco, there's Ghana, Zimbabwe have come up. There's Burundi, Cameroon is up. Now Kenya's up. Oh, Uganda is coming up also. But the way we're in talks with them, they say they came to meet us last year to hear our story, and they've gone back and started their own. So Uganda Rugby League is up also, and we are soon going to have a friendly match with them. Those are the main countries that already have a rugby league coming up in place. So,
and competitively, where would Kenya fit in? You know, Kenya has played one international against Italy, and that was 6 years ago.
Yes,
but at the moment, where would Kenya fit in competitively?
I mean, you might call it arrogance, but we believe we can compete with all the teams in Africa comfortably and maybe win some of the games, if not all.
Where would you play South Africa at the moment?
South Africa? I think South Africa, I would put them at par with us. But again, that's being very arrogant, but...
no, but Kenyans, you are known. Kenyans, you are known. You have a phrase known as Rohoju, and at times it backfires. It backfires badly. We've seen it happen against Uganda in the Elgon Cup.
Right.
We've seen it happen against...
Against Uganda in the Elgon Cup, that is not Rohoju. That's Madarao that the Kenyan team had. Overconfidence. Overconfidence is what brings Kenya down normally. But Rohoju we have and we win. So in terms of, and even beyond, I mean, I would dare say that with some of within a short time, we will go up in rankings. We want to be able to compete with the other teams like countries like Spain, Scotland, eventually England, New Zealand, Australia. I mean, we want to, some people call it arrogance, but we've been in rugby in Kenya for a very long time. And if you put the combination of my experience and Rombo and Aimba and everybody in the board, Charles Kodavilis, John Bai, we are over Amiru Mwatao, Rick Murungi, we are over 100 years old. So we know the ability of Kenya. And we are confident that with the right structures and resources in place and correct preparation, attitude, we can be competitive.
All right. The other thing is you need to play. What are your venues? Because, for example, Kenya Harlequin, the RFEA grounds, that's one pitch. Impala, that's a single pitch. If you go to KCB, it's a single pitch. Now, unless probably you go to the schools.
No, pitches will always be a challenge in Africa, whether you're talking about football or rugby or any field sport. We are developing an integrated plan where we'll share some of the venues that are already being used for rugby union. Because the marking is almost the same, the size of the pitch is the same. The thing is just for us to be able to have a fixture that does not clash with the ones when they're hosting the union games. Have a deal with the clubs and stuff like that. We rotate. We are being bold. We want to have some of our games on Friday nights to attract a different crowd, you know, because this thing of having your games only on Saturday afternoon, sometimes you're competing with many things, including Urashios and Matangas.
Anyway, but it's not the entire team that's, I mean, with the exception of the funeral, I think for the others, those are individual events.
You want the fans, you know. So on Saturday, if somebody will say, okay, if maybe there's a rugby, and then maybe there's a friend of mine who has got some really late show that is going for, yeah? And maybe, and most of them are normally bachelors. Maybe he wants to go eye some chicks at the rural shows. You are rugby suffers. So we want to be radical to package our games differently. So then they have commercial sustainability. We want to have them like maybe on Friday nights, or at the beginning bring all the games in one venue. If you Saturday have the 4 games in one venue, start from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That way you create a thicker market for everybody and for the fans and stuff like that.
So
and move it all over the country.
Then at the end of it all, what kind of partnerships are you looking for from the Global Federation and in Africa? We know how Rugby Africa, we've heard about Rugby Africa, for example, they had to cancel some competitions due to financial constraints here and there.
Yeah.
to ensure that you're consistently playing at the highest level, such that if you want to qualify for the Rugby League World Cup 2025, then there is a basis for it. And even if you were to present...
Oh, I have some good news for you here. When Advance talks with one of the, if not the top, one of the leading advertising and marketing agencies in Kenya, they want to come and partner with us to come in as the commercial partner for Kenya Rugby League, where they'll be, the responsibility is to find all the partnerships that bring in the resources and revenue, so that as we stick to our core rugby development stuff.
So this partnership, as it is, how what are you looking at? Basically, cash, have the game go fully professional like Rugby League did vis-a-vis Rugby Union 100 years ago?
So first season will be a hybrid. We want to have the kind of like an elite Rugby League structure, maybe with 8, 6 or 10 clubs, and then have second division, okay? So first season is a mixture of things. But then by the time we go to the second season, there will be relegation and promotion, and we want the top tier to go fully professional, completely. Because our agreement, our discussions with them is that for them to develop a commercial plan for Rugby League that is sustainable, where we are able to help kick poverty out of Kenya by giving players fantastic contracts, including medical insurance covers and stuff like that. And that is now year 2 to prepare it for that. And then if all goes well, by the 3rd year or 4th year, we want to be able to develop a kind of like an African Super Series Cup, where we have franchise teams based in Kenya, some in South Africa, maybe some in Cameroon, and be able to attract even players on contract from other countries, other continents, Australia, Fiji, Tonga, and the rest. I mean, as the top elite, big commercial competition that we can even sell globally. Okay? Because at that moment now we want to be able to sell it globally, or sell TV rights to everybody all over the world who can watch it. And that's how then you bring in resources to bring in all this accessibility that goes into your schools program and age grade and development and stuff like that.
So, quick one. Eddie Rombo has played in the UK. Eric Kibe is involved?
No, apparently catching Kibe has been tricky. I hear he's in and out of Kenya, but I believe he's doing well.
All right. Yeah, those are two, Eddie Rombo and Eric Kibe. Eric Kibe played for Huntlet for 2 years when he was in the United Kingdom. Eddie Rombo played for 5 years, came back a lawyer, and he's now with the Federation. He's a national coach. Quicks Nyakwaka officially, Richard Nyakwaka, thank you very much for your time this morning. And also to Gregory Mulemi earlier, and that it's been a morning. It's time for us to break away, and Tambrini is coming up next with Timothy Kipnusu. Our sign language interpreters have been Sister Antuku and Lensa Odingo. Have a good afternoon.